let's introduce Joe Pardo. He's going to be speaking about podcasts and adding podcasts to your blog. A little about Joe. Joe is a New Jersey-based dreamer, has always believed that society starts with you, and that to change society, you must first change how you think. In early 2014, Joe decided to leave his family $100 million business and pursue his dreams of owning his own business. That's a big move right there. Joe founded Motivational Dreamers Podcast at www.dreamerspodcast.com to build his platform of helping others pursue their dreams, which is awesome. In late 2015, Joe already has a resume to help elevate people to pursue their dreams. Joe isn't a dreamer, he's a doer. And let's hear from Joe.
So first off, thanks everybody for sticking out. This is awesome to have such a turnout. First off, who here knows what a podcast is? Okay, so majority of the room. Anybody who doesn't know what a podcast is, it's kind of like internet radio, but it's on demand like Netflix. Everybody knows what Netflix is, right? YouTube, but Netflix. Okay, apparently. So at least one guy in the back does. Thanks, man. All right, so I want to talk about the power of adding a podcast to your blog. Who here has a blog? Oh, awesome. So most of us. That's wonderful. Blogs are a great way to get connected with people that are like-minded. They're a great way to get your information out there. I mean, I don't have to tell all these people out here that having a blog can do wonderful things for you, especially running a blog through WordPress. Let's hear it for WordPress. Yeah. WordPress is amazing. I've come from a long line of other content management systems, and WordPress is, bar none, especially when it comes to plugin support. So real quick, a little bit deeper about myself. So thank you for the introduction there. Growing up at the age of 6, who knew what they wanted to be at the age of 6? Anybody? Anybody? Are we actually doing what we wanted to be doing? No? Oh, I got one guy in the back with 2 thumbs up. I like that. So I wanted to be a child psychologist to help other kids who are going through divorce. Divorce is a horrible thing, and at the age of 6, I knew that that's what I wanted to do. What I didn't know at the time was that it required a ton of school, and I didn't like school. School was not on my to-do list, my want list. So, just a few years later, I wanted to be a DJ, and I actually made that happen. So, didn't make the child psychologist thing happen exactly, but did become a DJ. Still do a little DJing here and there, but it's not as frequent as I would love it to be. So I kind of settled. I worked in my family's business. It was the largest independently owned truck parts company on the East Coast. Started by my grandfather, ran by my dad, and I was in line to take it over. So I worked there for 20 years, starting when I was about 6, 7 years old, in the warehouse, sweeping floors, putting stock away, all that stuff. It was a $100 million enterprise at the end of my run at the company. And I left to start my own adventure. It was not a great start to an adventure. It was not a very welcome change, but it was a change that I knew that I had to make. And it started with my first DJ album called Adventutorial. If you love Disney and you love hip-hop instrumentals, when I give you the link at the end, you should go check it out. It's pretty awesome. And the reason I'm telling all of this is because while on a plane to Disney World, I go to Disney a lot, I'm a runner, and a whole bunch of things, but on the way to Disney World, I was looking for podcasts to do more interviews on, to get the word out about Adventutorial. And that's when I found out that, there's actually podcasts out there, because I only listened to one show, it was about Disney World. And there's actually shows out there that just do interviews. So I was like, whoa, I didn't ever consider that podcasting could be like this. I just assumed it was, 3, 4 people sitting around a table or sitting on Skype and they just chat about a topic. So enter in the Dreamers Podcast. I was on that plane. When that plane landed, I registered the domain name for Dreamers Podcast, I registered the Twitter handle, and I registered the Facebook page, all before we got to the rental car. That's how fast I move when I want something. Does anybody else move that fast around here? Love it. Love it, love it. Don't change. Don't change. This was from the 1-year anniversary where we raised $600 in I think it was like two and a half hours for charity. That's how we celebrate anniversaries of the Dreamers podcast. And now it's 2.5 years in. I even started up a podcast conference for people like me who aren't all about the money. So it's based around community building and creativity. We've done a lot of cool things. There's a discount code. There'll be another chance to get that at the end. But I just wanted to mention that that is something that I do. So we want to take your blog to the next level. At the time, I had a blog, but it wasn't very successful. Getting maybe a couple hundred hits a month or whatever. It was mostly YouTube videos that I found interesting and I was resharing. So enter in the podcast where I'm interviewing people who live their dreams around the world. And now we've been over 250 episodes in. I've interviewed people from the edges of New Zealand and Singapore, Australia, all the way to Hawaii, like all around the world. South America, we've hit it all. Africa, Nigeria, all over Europe. It's been a very incredible ride. So the reason that you want to add the podcast is because while one simply does not enhance this image, you can enhance your blog by adding extra content to your blog. It gives you another form of not just audio, but another extra reach. You can capture a whole new audience. People who hate reading. I personally, I don't like reading that much. Does anybody else not like reading? I mean, I love writing. I wrote 2 books, but I wrote them for people who don't like to read because I didn't want to write a book that I wouldn't want to read. So I drew pictures and made it, really short and to the point. You can create bonus material for your blog. So the idea is okay, so we can write this really, really long post. You might start out with the idea of oh, well, why don't I take this post and I'll turn it into, I'll take this post and I'll turn it into a podcast episode. I'll just read exactly what it says, word for word. You could do that, or you could talk about things that you wouldn't have time to write about, or the opposite. You could talk about something and then write the post and make the post really long. It's up to you. It gives options for your audience. So some people don't have time to read posts. They don't have time to read long posts, short posts, fine posts. They just don't have time. So you give options to your audience so that they will find you on iTunes, on Stitcher, on other media platforms. The podcasting isn't just about the idea that I'm a podcaster. I do podcasting, but I'm not like a podcaster in my mind. To me, it's another medium. It's another way of getting my brand out there. It's another way of connecting with more people, and a lot more ways that I'm going to show you. It'll help you create buzz, because with podcasting, you get a whole lot of your listeners' time. When people read your blog, they might be on your page for, 30 seconds, a minute, maybe 5 minutes. But when it comes to audio, you have this really, really deep connection. And it enables you to create buzz that they're going to want to go and share with other people, because podcasters know podcasters, or not podcasters, podcast listeners try to get other people to listen to podcasts. Just the same as like TV shows. It's consumable. It's mobile, which really was the big boom for it when the Apple iPhone added the podcast app as a default app to the phone. You can create a deep impact with your audience. So not only are you in that space of, well, you're reading my words, but now I can give inflection, something like that. Like tone and sarcasm, because it's hard to read sarcasm, but you can give that when you are giving that talk. You can have engaged listeners. You get one-on-one listening time with them. They're probably not doing much of anything else. They're probably driving. I wouldn't be driving with SpongeBob, that's for sure. Or they're bathing with Stewie. Or they're mowing the lawn. Or they're going for a walk. Or whatever they're doing, they're probably doing something that they don't have to think about and are listening to you. So you have a captured audience that you don't get with somebody that has 20 tabs open in their Google Chrome. You know, you're just not going to get it. Even YouTube. I mean, how many people open up multiple YouTube videos and then like maybe go back to something? Yeah, see, I do the same thing. I'll have like 3 or 4 videos open. I'm lucky if I get back to one of those videos. But if I'm listening to a podcast, like, it's what I'm doing. I mean, I might be doing, you know, mowing, like Tim the Toolman Taylor here, but that's, you know, instead of listening to music, I'm listening to a podcast. I'm learning. I'm experiencing something else. It can amplify your message. So again, you have the written word. People love it. People read it, but it's noisy. It's noisy within their browser because they probably have a ton of tabs to go along with it. But when they have the one-on-one, you're going to amplify that message that you have from your blog. It also amplifies it in the sense that it allows them to trust you, because no longer are you just maybe a face on an about page on your blog. You're a voice. You now have character. You can come literally straight off the page and into their ears. And they're going to start to trust you. That trust is amazing for, if you wanted to do sponsorships, that's a great way to do it. Because the people that you have in that niche are really, really attentive to what you have to say. And they're going to trust what you say. You can have guest interviews. This has been the biggest thing for me, is being able to talk to people that I would have no reason to talk to otherwise. At all. I'd have no reason to talk to them. I have no reason to be here right now if it didn't start with guest interviews. Now, since then, my show has expanded to include like a pre-show where I can talk about the things that I'm doing. Like tomorrow night, I'll be talking about being right here, right now. But then after that is a guest interview. So it expands my network from across the, like I said earlier, from across the globe. It's really incredible how that works. And depending on your niche, like you might only know 20 or 30 people that you'd be like, oh, I can have this person on as a guest. Those people know 10 or 20 or 30 other people, and they're going to refer you, and then you're going to capture those people, and then you become friends. It'll increase traffic. You can send people back to your site. You can, it's not as great for SEO as adding a YouTube video. But honestly, podcasting is a great window into starting to do video. And the reason is you don't have to be seen. You don't have to get dressed. You don't have to be wearing pants. You don't have to, there's no deposition there for what is needed to do a podcast, other than your voice. So as long as you can record your voice, you can have a podcast. And nobody has to know how you were dressed or no makeup on or whatever. But it's, like I said, it's the gateway to getting more traffic once you convert it over to the idea that, okay, now my show can move to YouTube as well. And now we can put the camera on. And especially if you're camera shy, it's a great way to start to get that increased traffic. Helps you build relationships, like I said earlier, about having guests. These guests become friends. Not everyone becomes friends, but a lot of them do. A lot of them become Facebook friends. A lot of them become Twitter followers, and you follow them, and they open up their networks. And I've gotten calls, 8 months, a year later, like, hey, there's this opportunity, and I think that you would be great for this opportunity, and I can't do it. But now, because of the fact that you had a reason to talk to somebody that you didn't have any other reason to talk to them before, now that relationship becomes something that, you can continue to grow it. Content's still king. So, as just the same with blogging, it doesn't have to be perfect. You can mess up. You can edit. You cannot edit. When I started, I edited a lot, hours and hours and hours. The number one thing I can say about that is you don't need to edit. In fact, now my pre-shows are done on Facebook Live. So if I mess up or something bad happens, it is what it is. There is no editing of that. If you have to edit, you can write down a timestamp. So at 25 minutes, the dog started barking and I had to get up and go take care of the dog, or somebody came in the door and I had to get up and take care of who was at the door. Then what you can do is just edit backwards. You edit, like, if it was, say it was 25 minutes, 28 minutes, and 50 minutes. You edit the 50 minutes first. Then you go back, and you edit the 28, and then you edit the 25. That's it. That's all you have to do. That's editing. You could go through and take out every single but the only way you're going to get better is just doing it over and over and over, hours, investing the hours. So while content is king, audio quality still matters. But in this day and age, audio quality has a really low barrier to entry. So your iPhone, your Android phone, it's good enough. If you just want to record a solo recording, then that's good enough. Even if you just sat around a table, it's good enough to get started. And getting started is the most important part. I mean, how many people up here wanted to start a podcast? How many people, all right, so keep them up. How many people have actually started a podcast? Okay, so I think there's like one or two here. And congratulations to both of you for making that step, because a lot of people will spend 6 months, a year, thousands and thousands of dollars to figure out how do I practice podcasting thing. Now, all of you know how to use WordPress, so I'm going to give you all that secret sauce, like just a little bit later on in this presentation here. So you can start with your phone. Great, easy. We all know how to record from our phone, right? Voice recording app. Great way to do it. There's other apps that you can get online through the app stores. It's all available to you. You just need to know how to hit the record button, basically, and have some content written down. You don't, not to read word for word, but at least bullet points. Then you can move up to an Audio-Technica ATR 2100 USB microphone. There's the blue, the blue Snowball is great. There's plenty of other microphones out there, but the reason I love the ATR 2100 is because it has USB, so you can plug straight into your computer wherever you are. In fact, I have one that I keep just in case. It's only 80 bucks. It's been as low as $40. So if you set like a camel, go to camelcamelcamel.com and you can actually set like, when's the price drop on Amazon? When it's when it hits 50, 40 bucks. That's when I want an email. And it has XLR. So when you upgrade to the super complicated setup of this, you don't need this at all, unless you were planning on having 4 people sitting around a table every single week or every single day or however you want to run your show, then you can worry about that. And you can use your ATR 2100 microphone because it has a port that can plug into that complicated mess. Now I use something like that complicated mess now, but when I got started, it was just a Blue Yeti. And the problem with the Blue Yeti is if you don't live in a quiet house, it picks up everything. So it's very difficult to use. It's very unwieldy. Editing, Audacity, it's free, totally free, free, like WordPress free. It's awesome. It's super powerful. Sure, you could pay, for a bunch of different editing softwares. It's available to you, but it's not necessary. All you really need is Audacity. It'll handle all the multi-tracking, and the best part about doing audio is it's more simple than video, unless you're using iMovie. I really love iMovie. Does anybody use iMovie here? Yeah, it's awesome. I tried to use Adobe Premiere Elements. It's not, I had to Google everything that I have to do, and it just seems more convoluted than ever. But audio editing, super simple. Waveform, just click and drag, delete, and you're on. There's plenty of effects, there's plenty of power tools in it, but you don't have to start with any of that. You just gotta get good audio. So 80%, you gotta get your audio quality to 80%. Your content is still king and will carry it the rest of the way. As long as your content is good to great, people will still tune in. Hosting, you can do it for free. You don't have to pay for a hosting. There are options. There's plenty of options, whether it's hosting through a VPS, a virtual private server, or plenty of services. You can host for free through WordPress. The WordPress plugin, PowerPress, that's the key. If figuring out how to host this and get it on iTunes and all that, and Stitcher is your problem, that right there will solve all your problems. In fact, when I got started with my podcast, I didn't know about PowerPress. I never ran a podcast before. So as soon as somebody told me, but I knew how to use WordPress. So as soon as somebody told me, hey, get PowerPress, it all made sense. Installed it, and most of us, or majority of us, I would assume, use WordPress pretty well. So you know how to install a plugin. It's right in the store. It's easy. And then you just add the link of the MP3 right to each post. And then it creates a RSS feed for you automatically. All of the magic. You can upload it via FTP. So if you already have like a shared hosting or VPS or anything, you can upload those MP3 files. Except, I'm not sure, I think Bluehost doesn't let you upload MP3s. I'm not positive, but last time I checked, they wouldn't let you upload MP3s. But a lot of other places will. And so I would check, if you use Bluehost, I would check with Bluehost if that's the case. You can upload it depending how big your max upload is on your media library. You can upload it right to your media library. You get your link for where it's like the actual file is located. You add it to the post in PowerPress, and boom! All of a sudden you got yourself a podcast with an RSS feed. And even PowerPress is only three clicks to get it set up. 3 clicks, and you got to fill out a little bit of stuff. There's also great services like Podbean. Podbean will allow you to upload it to their service, host it. They have a nice little player that you can put on your website, and there's other things that you can do with it. It's a great service. Go check it out. And they even offer a website too, so you don't even have to have a WordPress site and all that if you wanted to just get started. So pretty much, you can be a podcasting master now, because I have given you the framework for what you need to do to go out into the world and become podcasters. And really, the only thing holding you back is you, because it's really not hard to get started. So there's if you go to the link at the top, the WCNYC, there's links there for all the slides. The discount code is there for the conference. The podcasting course that I have is available there, and of course My Dreamers podcast is available there as well. Whew, that was a mouthful. But we got it in, under the 30-minute mark here? Sweet. All right, so do we have any questions?